In this video, I'd like to share with you how I do a 3-stitch I-cord bind off in the round without the jog. I made this sample swatch using sock yarn, but of course with wool and especially heathered wool it's difficult to see all the details. So in the video I will do a demo using cotton. The first step is preparatory. I will knit the first 3 stitches in a regular way and then return them knitwise onto the left needle tip. Here is the reason for this step. If I start the I-cord right away, I'll get a slope, but I need my I-cord to be straight, parallel the cast on row, like here. And I can achieve it by doing the first step. So I bring the beginning of the I-cord up and make it straight. This is the beginning of the row, and I will knit the first 3 stitches in the usual way from left to right. Like this, and then return them knitwise onto the left needle tip. For the I-cord, I usually like to change my needle size from the larger size that I used for stockinette stitch to a smaller size to avoid baggy stitches. So this is my smaller needle, and I just pull out the larger needle to get it out of the way, and I will continue knitting with a smaller needle. Step 2, I knit 2 stitches in the usual way, then slip 2 stitches knitwise, return them onto the left needle tip and knit together from right to left, and then return all 3 stitches knitwise onto the left needle tip. I knit the first stitch as usual from left to right, then knit the second stitch also from left to right as usual, and I'm going to knit these 2 stitches together. I slip both stitches from left to right, like this, return them back onto the left needle tip, and then knit them together from right to left. And return all 3 stitches knitwise back onto the left needle tip. And then I continue repeating step 2. Make 2 knit stitches, then SSK, and then return 3 stitches knitwise back onto the left needle tip. Of course, SSK can be done much faster, but in the video I will show it slower, because also it helps me to control the size of my stitches to make sure that all my I-cord stitches look the same. This is the beginning of each repeat. The working yarn is coming out of the 3rd stitch. I make 2 knit stitches, and then from left to right slip off the third stitch and the fourth stitch, return them onto the left needle tip, and knit these two stitches together from right to left. And return all the 3 stitches knitwise back onto the left needle tip. Again, working yarn coming out of the third stitch, knit 2 stitches, slip knitwise the third stitch, slip knitwise the fourth stitch, return them onto the left needle tip, and knit these 2 stitches together from right to left. And return the 3 stitches knitwise back onto the left needle tip. Again, working yarn coming out of the third stitch, knit 2 stitches, slip knitwise, slip knitwise, return both stitches onto the left needle tip, and knit the 2 stitches together from right to left. And return 3 stitches back onto the left needle tip, knitwise. Again, working yarn is coming out of the third stitch, knit 2 stitches, slip knitwise, slip knitwise, return 2 stitches back onto the left needle tip, and knit these 2 stitches together from right to left. And return 3 stitches knitwise onto the left needle tip. Working yarn out of the third stitch, knit 2 stitches, slip knitwise, slip knitwise, return 2 stitches back onto the left needle tip, and knit these 2 stitches from right to left. And return all 3 stitches knitwise onto the left needle tip. Working yarn out of the third stitch, make a knit stitch, second knit stitch, slip the third stitch knitwise, slip the fourth stitch knitwise, return these 2 stitches onto the left needle tip, knit them together from right to left. And return these 3 stitches knitwise onto the left needle tip. Again, working yarn coming out of the third stitch, make a knit stitch, second knit stitch, slip knitwise, slip knitwise, return 2 stitches onto the left needle tip, and knit them together from right to left. And return 3 stitches knitwise onto the left needle tip. Again, knit stitch, second knit stitch, slip the third and the fourth stitches knitwise, return them onto the left needle tip, and knit them together from right to left. And return knitwise onto the left needle tip. And I will continue with the I-cord until the end of the row, and then I'll show you how I connect in a circle. If I proceed with connecting the stitches right away, then the stitches will be unstable and my I-cord might look like this. So in order to avoid this, I am going to take a couple of steps that I will show you to make sure that my stitches look straight and the alignment is stable. I'm going to make one more I-cord row. And in order to do that, I find this stitch under the last stitch and just follow it to the neighboring stitch on the left side, this one, and pull it up a little bit. So I will knit this stitch. This will be my fourth stitch. And I temporarily pick it up with my right needle tip. Just I want to show you again where it is. So here is the first stitch following to the left, and that's the stitch we need. This will be the fourth stitch of the I-cord row. So we had 2 knit stitches, and then these 2 stitches we will knit together. I insert my left needle tip back to front into this fourth stitch, and I will return the third stitch also back to front onto the left needle tip, like this, and return the second and the first stitches knitwise, just like I did before when I was knitting the I-cord. And now I again repeat the steps. Knit the first 2 stitches as usual, from left to right, and the third and the fourth stitches are already turned, so I don't need to slip them off and turn them anymore. and I can simply knit them from right to left. Like this. This brought my stitches closer to the stitches of the beginning of the I-cord, so I can proceed with connecting them. I'm leaving a yarn tail approximately 8 inches long or 20 centimeters. And I thread it on a tapestry needle. And now I'm going to continue. If we look closer at this area, the first horizontal stitch is coming out of this vertical stitch. And I will need the next vertical stitch to the right of that vertical stitch. I insert the tapestry needle back to front into that stitch, like this, and pull the yarn tail through. This will stabilize my stitches and will help to keep them straight. I bring the yarn tail behind work. I will connect the third stitch of the I-cord with the first horizontal stitch. I insert the tapestry needle from right to left or purlwise into the third stitch of the I-cord. Pull the yarn tail through and slip that stitch off the needle. And now I will connect this stitch with the first horizontal stitch. I insert the tapestry needle under both loops and pull the yarn tail through. And then front to back into the previous stitch. And check that the resulting stitch is of the same size with the rest of the stitches. Bring the right needle tip back and I will be connecting the second stitch of my I-cord with the corresponding horizontal stitch of the beginning of the row. I move the yarn tail behind work and insert the tapestry needle purlwise or right to left into the second stitch of the I-cord. Slip off that stitch and insert the tapestry needle under both loops of the first horizontal stitch. And knitwise or front to back into the second stitch of the I-cord. And again check that the resulting stitches are of the same size. Bring my right needle tip back. Again, move the yarn tail behind work. Insert the tapestry needle from right to left or purlwise into the first stitch of the I-cord and remove the needle. And insert the tapestry needle under both loops of the first horizontal stitch. And again, knitwise or front to back into the last stitch. Check that all the stitches are of the same size. And if necessary, pull a little bit to ensure that everything looks nice. To hide the yarn tail, I will insert the tapestry needle back to front into this purl stitch. And then I follow this loop and go front to back into the next purl stitch. And tighten a little bit. And finished. So this is it. This is the 3-stitch I-cord connection in a circle. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one.